Commander Sarah Chun had always prided herself on being adaptable. 23 years in the Terran Defense Corps had taught her to roll with the punches, whether they came from hostile alien encounters or malfunctioning equipment. But nothing had prepared her for first contact protocol breaking down because of a software glitch. The Zephyrian delegation had arrived 3 days ago, their sleek silver vessels cutting through Earth's atmosphere like liquid mercury. The aliens themselves were breathtaking tall, ethereal beings with luminescent blue skin and crystalline features that seemed to shift and dance in the light. Their leader, Ambassador Veltar, carried herself with the grace of someone accustomed to diplomatic protocol across 1,000 worlds. Everything had gone smoothly during the initial meetings. The universal translators, humanity's crown jewel of xenolinguistic technology, had functioned flawlessly. Trade agreements were discussed, cultural exchanges planned, and the foundation for a lasting alliance between Earth and the Zephyrian Commonwealth was carefully laid. Then the translation matrix decided to have what the tech crew diplomatically called a cascading semantic failure. It started during the third day's negotiations. Ambassador Veltar was mid-sentence, discussing the finer points of interstellar shipping routes, when her translator suddenly began rendering every instance of Commander Chun as Mate Chun. As I was saying, Mate Chun, the ambassador continued, oblivious to the technical malfunction, our shipping lanes through the Proxima sector would benefit both our species immensely. Sarah blinked, certain she'd misheard. But as the conversation progressed, it became clear that the translator was consistently replacing formal titles and honorifics with the distinctly casual mate. Not just for her, but for everyone in the room. Mate Rodriguez, the ambassador addressed the Secretary of Defense. Mate Patel, she said to the Chief Science Officer. Each time, her tone remained perfectly diplomatic, as if mate were the most natural form of address in the universe. The human delegation exchanged glances. Sarah caught Lieutenant Morrison's barely suppressed grin and shot him a warning look. This was first contact, not a comedy show. During the lunch break, Sarah cornered Dr. Yamamoto, the lead xenolinguist. "Can we fix it?" she asked. Dr. Yamamoto shook his head, looking harried. The core translation algorithms are locked in some kind of recursive loop. We're afraid that attempting a hard reset might crash the entire system, and we'd lose communication. Entirely. The backup translators are 3 generations older and might not handle Zephyrian syntax correctly. So we're stuck with mate? For now, yes. But here's the interesting part. Dr. Yamamoto pulled up a holographic display of linguistic patterns. The Zephyrian language has 17 different levels of formality, each with its own grammatical structure. Their word that we're translating as mate sits right in the middle of that spectrum. It's neither formal nor informal, it's something like ... collegial respect among equals. Sarah considered this. So she's not actually calling us buddy or treating us casually. Not at all. If anything, it suggests she sees humanity as worthy peers rather than junior partners in potential alliance. When negotiations resumed, something had shifted in the room's dynamic. The repeated use of mate had broken down some invisible barrier of diplomatic stiffness. Conversations flowed more naturally. Laughter came easier. Even Ambassador Veltar seemed more relaxed, her crystalline features brightening with what Sarah was learning to recognize as Zephyrian amusement. "Mate Chun," the ambassador said during a discussion of mining rights, "your species has a refreshing directness. Most civilizations dance around these topics for cycles before reaching substantive discussion." "We prefer to tackle problems head-on, Ambassador," Sarah replied. "Though I have to ask, how does the translation sound from your end?" Veltar's features shifted in what was unmistakably curiosity. "Your words are rendered as honored colleague in our language. Why do you ask?" Sarah explained the malfunction, expecting diplomatic embarrassment or perhaps offense. Instead, Veltar's form shimmered with what Sarah had learned was laughter. "So you believe you have been addressing me informally this entire time?" When Sarah nodded, Veltar's amusement intensified. How delightfully human! Most species would have ended negotiations immediately upon discovering such an error, fearing diplomatic catastrophe. Yet you continued, trusting that intent matters more than precise protocol. Well, Sarah said, feeling heat rise in her cheeks, we figured it was better to keep talking than to shut down over a technical problem. This is precisely why the Commonwealth wishes to ally with humanity, Veltar said, her tone growing serious despite the translation rendering it as casual. Conversation. In our observations, your species possesses something increasingly rare in galactic civilization, the ability to adapt and find humor in adversity while maintaining respect for others. The negotiations concluded 2 days later with the most comprehensive alliance treaty in human history. As the Zephyrian ships prepared to depart, Ambassador Veltar approached Sarah one final time. "Mate Chun," she said, and Sarah could swear there was intentional warmth in how the mangled translation rendered her name. "I want you to know that even after your linguists repair their systems, I would be honored if you continued to address me as ... what was your term ... mate?" Sarah grinned, extending her hand in the human gesture of friendship that Veltar had learned during their time together. "I'd like that, mate. I'd like that very much." As the silver ships disappeared into the star-scattered darkness, Sarah reflected on the strange turns that diplomacy could take. Sometimes the best connections came not from perfect protocol, but from the willingness to roll with the punches and find common ground even when the technology failed. The translation glitch had lasted 5 days. The friendship it sparked would last generations. And honestly, Sarah was more than okay with that.